Well, they hope so. They hope that there is a reason behind all that. Just listening to that Brian Schottenheimer sound, this is in the weeds, but like Kyle said, this is this kind of show. This makes me laugh right here. B. Schottenheimer on why he moved M. Parsons next to D. Prescott to Cowboys locker room. It should be Shoddy made Micah sit next to Dak, and we're going to talk about it, the Dallas Cowboys. This is May. We're filling in the blank. It's a game we're going to play for the 2025 Dallas Cowboys. Right. Here we go.
Go ahead.
The 2025 Cowboys have us feeling blank. Isaiah, you have the floor.
They have me feeling curious like George. And the reason why I am curious is because I'm not sure. You like that right there? You like that?
Oh my gosh.
I think that there's a lot of question marks around the Dallas Cowboys. Now, obviously, I have a little bit more of attachment to the Dallas Cowboys, having played for them, having now worked for them. But I think that what they are doing is not sexy. It is not for the headlines. What they've done in terms of their coaching staff, bringing in those key pieces there, what they did in terms of the draft wasn't necessarily the sexiest thing in the world. Went out and got a big offensive lineman with their number 12 overall pick. So the things that they're doing isn't necessarily sexy, and it's leaving everybody kind of curious. But I think it's exactly what you need to do to build a solid team. These guys are bringing in leaders who are young men who are experienced, who have been through trials, who stand up for their own in the locker room. And I just think that when they collectively get everybody back together and they get all of their players healthy, these guys are going to be a force to reckon with. I know that's not what everybody else is going to say, but that's what I know.
Willie, what you got? You got a cartoon?
Willie?
Yeah, no, I don't have a cartoon, but this has me feeling anxious. And how I see it, this is expectations versus reality. The expectation is for this team to compete for the division and get back into the playoffs. The reality is that this team is nowhere close. I mean, last year, 2/5 of their offensive line were rookies. They are able to add Tyler Booker. I'm happy about that. But they don't have a game-breaking running back like a Saquon Barkley. They don't have a solid number 2 to take the bricks off of CeeDee Lamb's shoulders. They got a 32-year-old quarterback in Dak Prescott that's coming off a torn hamstring. And so when you tell me Schottenheimer is trying to play musical chairs to get some synergy back into this locker room, that scares me. You know why? Because at the end of the day, it's all about wins and losses. And usually if your locker room's not together, that equals losses. It's a direct reflection. So if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I don't mind playing musical chairs, but it's about going back to that team that was in 2020 that went 12-5 and went to a playoff game. Well, had a home playoff game against the Packers, and it got dog walked by Jordan Love and company. So I'm frustrated as a Cowboys. If I was a Cowboys fan, I would be frustrated because musical chairs is cute, but we haven't met expectations. And the reality, we don't seem like we're nowhere close of being a contender or can even contend in the division with the Eagles or the Commanders.
Musical chairs is cute. It's my understanding is that afterwards, each player had to stand up, say their name, their position, and their favorite food. So
right.
I am Dak Prescott, and I like pizza. And hi, Dak. Like that's how it went. All right. You asked the question. I'll give you an answer. The 2025 Cowboys have me feeling nothing. Nothing. And let me explain why. They are by far the least interesting team in their division. By far. 4th out of 4. And I don't know if that's ever been true in my entire life. Even the Dave Campo era had more sizzle than this team does. Even smaller market teams right now are headlights and neon compared to America's team. The Titans are way more interesting. The Jaguars are way more interesting. The Dallas Cowboys coaching hire was not a bold choice. It was sensible. The Dallas Cowboys first-round draft pick was not a bold choice. It was practical. The not paying Micah storyline is a rerun of an episode we've seen 10 times from this team. The quarterback is the quarterback. He'll be very good, not great, say the right things, and get paid, and we'll do it again next year. The most interesting thing that has happened in the last calendar year for the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't even think it's close, is the owner's breathtaking cameo in a television show called Landman, which was beautiful, amazing, and really sad that was the most dynamic thing we've seen. They are currently like the Tupperware of teams. It's just something you have, you don't think about it, you don't care about it, you put the spaghetti in, you put it in the fridge, you have no attachment to it at all. It just serves a practical need of being one of the teams in the NFC East. I think the Cowboys fans themselves are passing the time grumbling about number 2 receivers, cursing Jaden Daniels, hoping Jackson Dart isn't as good as he is, and praying that the Eagles are gentle this year because they weren't last year. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not feeling anything negative about the Cowboys. I just feel numb. I feel nothing. And I dare you to find me you feel anything at all.
Fascinating, Kyle, that you say that they are the Tupperware of the NFL team. Because if you don't watch yourself, you got to care for that Tupperware.
Absolutely.
Else the spaghetti stain sauce will stay on the rim of that thing. If you don't take care of it, dry it immediately after coming out of the dishwasher, water stains. Like you have to care for it, or else the past will come back to bite you, and it will cloud what you're looking at in your Tupperware. I have a little exercise I just wrote on my note card. This is fully ad-libbed right now, and Isaiah's laughing about it. Willie, I'm going to ask you this question. Just the concept of an edge rusher sitting next to a quarterback, Micah sitting next to Dak in a locker room, just feels like that's unnecessary. They don't need to be friends. They don't play on the same time. Nothing has to do with the other, except for the fact that they're your 2 stars or 2 leaders. An edge sitting next to a quarterback is the same as an offensive lineman sitting next to who in the locker room? This is just I said punter.
Yeah.
But is it, what's the parallel there? What's a position in a locker room, Willie, that you just have nothing to do with if you're an offensive lineman?
Oh, probably the long snapper.
Yep.
Nice.
That's weird.
There's no reason for us to sit next to each other. The only time we ever link up is on field goal protection.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's no reason. And it's tough because long snappers matter. Like,
Yes, they do.
Big time.
You need them. You do need a long snapper.
Yep.
But a reference for us to have lunch together and maybe, exchange Christmas cards probably won't happen.
Kyle Brandt, are you flirting with putting the Cowboys in your 7 in the NFC right now on May 5th?
No, but I'm not flirting on keeping them out. I have nothing on the Cowboys. I'm completely neutral. I have no feelings, positive or negative. But to the point, it is an interesting exercise to think ahead because the NFC East is so dynamic, especially at the top. You got Philadelphia, they won the Super Bowl. The Commanders, they look like the team of tomorrow or today, and then the Giants are kind of rebuilding stuff. So I really do think that for the first time in a long time, I had the Cowboys in last year. I always would put them in because I just thought that's their right. They show up, they lose in the wild card or maybe the divisional, and then they go home. Who's putting the Cowboys in this year? And I'm not saying people aren't. I'm saying if you are, what is your reason for doing so? You feel like they really got something brewing here? Because both Willie and Isaiah are hitting on they're doing sensible things, practical things, and maybe this is a zag from just going and getting the coolest, brightest object all the time. Maybe it actually will work out. But in terms of the playoff picks, I just don't see a really compelling case to say, I love this version of the Cowboys this year.
Yeah, this team is only going to go as far as Dak Prescott takes them. I know Jerry Jones has historically said that, but at the end of the day, they need a run game. And that's what's so important about having Schottenheimer. If you remember Brian Schottenheimer, when he was with the Jets, man, the Jets had a good offensive line, a good run game, and a defense to back him up. I think that's what he's trying to install. Overall, man, Dak is getting older, right? CeeDee Lamb is doing all he can in his body to be the best receiver he can for the Cowboys. What has to happen is we need more production out of tight end position. We need a running back that can promote and kind of sell this offense. You talk about all the good teams in the league who have a running back like the Green Bay Packers, like the Philadelphia Eagles, like you can even go to Detroit and what their 2-headed dogs they have back there. What you need for the Dallas Cowboys is they need an identity. They need kind of makeover, and nobody knows what that is. And so if you're Jerry Jones and company, you have to get more dogs in the building that can really get this offense going in a positive way. Because when I look at this team right now, and I'm with Kyle, you don't feel anything because they haven't given you anything to feel. And so they got to get to the point where we're motivated by what they can do on the field, and their lack of production keeps us stagnant.
Isaiah, let me ask you something. The 2025 Cowboys, what is going to be the thing that they do best? What is going to be their number one strength as a team that we can rally behind? Maybe we're not perfect, but, man, we're going to be really good at this.
Forced turnovers. That's what I believe that the Dallas Cowboys in 2025-26 season is going to be, because when you think about what they have defensively, when healthy, all right, these guys have Trayvon Diggs, these guys have Deron Bland. Those are 2 of the best turnover-generating cornerbacks in the league. Okay. And then you just add this year's draft pick in Shavon Rebel, who they got in the 3rd round, who had an ACL, who would have been a first-round draft pick because of what he's able to do in terms of getting interceptions. So you're going to have a 3-headed monster at the cornerback position, and you're going to have a Micah Parsons and a Donovan Ezeraku that they just picked up in this year's draft as well in the 2nd round. These 2 monsters on the defensive end are going to be a terror for anybody. And when anybody knows, if you have 2 defensive ends that can generate pressure and you have ball-hawking cornerbacks, that is a problem for any team. Now, if you flip it on the other side, the Dallas Cowboys are going to say that they're going to own the trenches because the offensive line and the commitment that they have had there. I've just sat here and told you that it wasn't sexy what they've done, right? Obviously, Zach Martin goes out and retires. They replace him with Booker, right, in this year's draft at the 12th pick overall. But the last time the Dallas Cowboys had 3 first-round offensive linemen on the starting starting O-line is when these guys were toting the rock, and anybody, including Kyle Brandt, can have 1,000 yards on the ground. So their focus and their emphasis is on the offensive line right now and in the trenches. And the last time they were dominant, they were doing some things.
I would have fallen off my chair if you said the thing that they're going to do in 2025 is long snapping. I think that would have been an awesome answer, but you didn't. You went with forced turnovers. It was perfect, yeah. What a great melting pot list of quarterbacks for Jalen Milroe to be studying entering the NFL. One of the more fascinating players in this year's draft was Jalen Milroe, and when we spoke to him before the draft, Isaiah, you were on the show, and you addressed the fact that he's been labeled as a running quarterback. But if you listen to that list and how he's trying to approach the game, maybe he has a different idea of how the offense should be run in Seattle. How do you see Jalen Milroe being used with the Seahawks?
You know, most people are going to say they're going to put a package in there for them, or try to figure out how he's going to be like in the red zone, maybe do some zone read. The reality is, I think that they're going to use him to just have some juice, add some juice to the offense. And the reason why I think it's intriguing, the quarterbacks that he named that he's studying, is because those are all the guys who aren't necessarily using their physical abilities to impact the game. He knows and he understands that he is a physical specimen. 6'2", 225, runs a 4.3. I mean, the dude has a cannon. All those intangibles that nobody can teach. The one thing that he can learn is how to play on time, is how to make your reads, is how to understand the defenses. Because if he is able to generate those skill sets, which is what one of his quote-unquote knocks in college, if he can improve that aspect of his game, now this dude starts generating himself as one of the untouchable guys in the league at that position. So how are they going to have him and Sam Darnold working together? I'm not sure how they're going to splice that, but Clint Kubiak is one of the most creative guys that we know in this league as offensive coordinators, and that is exactly who's going to be calling things in Seattle. They will find a way to utilize his skills and his assets, because this dude is just, he's nasty with his skills.
Let me see that video again. Re-rack the video. Give me some video. For one, we haven't seen any football players running around since the Chiefs were getting their heads kicked in by the Eagles, okay? That was not a good game, that Super Bowl. We need some of this. This is like a drink of water through the desert. Now, it's just guys playing catch. It's nothing. There's no defense. There's no pads even. I don't care. And by the way, I don't want Jalen Milroe in slow motion. He's like one of the fastest guys ever. Don't slow him down. Our guy Joey Molinaro always has a great take on videos like this. The teams put them out, and the caption is always, "This is going to be fun." And it is going to be fun. The uniforms are great. The throws look great. And he's probably not going to be doing a lot of throwing as a rookie in this league. This is the kind of guy where you're like, running quarterback is not a dirty word. It's all right. Be a running quarterback. You are prolifically fast and talented. You're playing underneath a guy who has a ton of NFL starting experience in Sam Darnold, who is not prolifically fast or talented. I don't care about this. Maybe there'll come a time 3 years from now when Jalen Milroe has learned and been seasoned and he's a starting quarterback and he's throwing it all over. Right now, get him in there and let him use his legs. Why the hell not? It feels like a very fun weapon to use. I remember even when Michael Vick was coming into the league and John Madden would be like, I hear all these people saying he can't run so much. What do you mean he can't run so much? Have you ever seen him? I hope Milroe gets in there and they do any kind of trick play, draws up the middle. So it's 3 yards, 4 yards, or maybe it's 80 yards. He is so fast and so talented and so raw. Just let him do his thing, Willie. Am I wrong here?
No, you're 100% right.
Of course I am.
One of the things that annoy me is when players get into the NFL, coaches tend not to pay attention to the instructions. He's the type of player that has instructions. Put the ball in his hand and let him go to work. This guy is a burner. He's a big-time playmaker. You watch them Alabama. Turn on the tape against Auburn. Turn on the tape against Texas A&M. He's not only running it, but he's throwing it, and he's leading his team. Me and Kyle were just talking off camera how from the makeup of this guy, his character is about leadership. His character is about evolving. His character is about being the best he could be for his ball club. And I'm with you, Isaiah. When you talk about Clint Kubiak, he had a guy just like him in Taysom Hill down in New Orleans. Taysom Hill has had a hell of a career being what Jalen Milroe can be. So when I look at the Seattle Seahawks and I look at Jalen Milroe, well, all I want this kid to do is just let the evolution come naturally. Do not force this kid to be a pocket passer like a Sam Darnold. Don't put extra pressure on him. If he's a weapon, use him as a weapon. One thing I've learned in my ripe age of 42 is when you don't follow instructions, things cost more.
I know. You're right.
Bottom line. So let's be careful how we use this young man. He comes with instructions, follow instructions, and you will have success.
Yeah, or Clint Kubiak's going to have to get like a task rabbit in there to figure out how to use Jalen Milroe. It's a perfect way to explain it, Willie. actually. We got South Carolina safety in front of our show, Nick Eamon-Worry. He gets drafted to the Seahawks, and he takes number 3. And he actually says it's in honor of Russell Wilson. He said he loved the Seahawks growing up and the impact that Russell Wilson had in his time with the franchise. He respects it so much, and he hopes to do the same on defense. Furthermore, their rookie, Gray Zabel, called Seahawks legend Steve Hutchinson and asked if he could wear his number 76, which is a retired number for the Seahawks. And here's Hutchinson's response. We loved it. He loved it. This is what I'm being told. So the request was approved, is the point. Okay.
All right.
This all comes on the heels of the fact that Abdul Carter is getting denied left and right to wear numbers for the New York Giants. First, he requests to wear LT's number 56. Then 11, and Phil Simms says no, according to his family, even though he was okay with it. It makes me very uncomfortable. I feel badly for Carter at this point because he wore 11 in college. We get it, but he just can't figure out the right number. Is asking for a retired number, Isaiah, a tribute to the player, or is it disrespectful to make that phone call and say, yo, can I take your reputation back?
There's a poet by the name of Andre 3000. And Andre 3000 says, too soon, reconsider, some literature. And I believe that is too early to be requesting the GOAT. Yeah. Right? And Mr. Lawrence Taylor's number. I understand that you want to hold it up and have high regard for it, and you want to, acclaim it and show that, hey, I'm going to now be the new generation of you. And you very well may be, but you cannot go out there asking from day one before you've taken any snap to wear the greatest of all time that everybody is chasing and trying to be in Lawrence Taylor's number. And I respect the fact that Lawrence Taylor was like, you know what, I'm sorry, young fella, but yeah, just not yet. Phil Simms, I think that, he can ask for that one, but the Giants don't retire just anybody's jersey. Right. So find your way, get a different number. I know a lot of young guys are attached to their numbers. I never was, so I never really understood the attachment to it. But, yeah, access denied on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where I get frustrated at organizations because you have an opportunity to retire the number for good. And what certain numbers mean things to communities and like if you're down at LSU number 7, you knew that's a big number. If you're down at Ole Miss number 38, that's a big number. If you go to Pittsburgh and you dare ask for 75, the great Mean Joe Green's number, you may get slapped out of Pittsburgh, right? There's certain numbers you just stay away from, and I think a lot of these young fellas, I get annoyed with because it's hard enough to build your name in the league. Now you want to add extra scrutiny on top of it by saying, hey, if I wear this 23, if I wear this number, man, people are going to see you in a certain type of light. It's your name. Find your number. Build your career. Stay away from it. It's not necessary. So I don't understand what's to ask for. Certain numbers mean things. Like I don't care how great of a baseball player I think I am, but I would never ask for the number 42. Just wouldn't. Yeah. That's Jackie Robinson's number. Right. So I think we just have to be more sensible about it, and more organizations have to start protecting those numbers so we don't have these issues.
Jackie Robinson changed the world. Phil Simms won 1 Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like,
Mean Joe Green brought 4 Super Bowls to Pittsburgh.
That's my point. I sympathize. I'm trying to sympathize with these young guys because there is a problem becoming a problem in the NFL where you have teams like the Giants or the Bears who are over 100 years old. You've had a lot of great players. Guys, there's only so many numbers. Correct. Like there's only single 0 to 99. That's it. You got to have 53 guys at least, and then these other ones. So they're running out of options. And listen, I'm trying to be solutions-oriented for Abdul Carter because for a guy who's supposedly unblockable, all these Giants greats are just blocking him left and right from their numbers. They're pancaking him. Lawrence Taylor says no. Phil Simms says no. So he's like, all right, I can't get 11. How about we'll go down 1 to 10? Nope, that's Eli's number. Can't have that. All right, I'll go to a conventional pass rusher number. 92. That's Strahan. Can't have that. I feel bad for him because also, listen, Abdul Carter, he's aware of Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor has been retired for over 30 years. Even if he did the studying and went to YouTube, I don't think someone his age could really appreciate someone like Lawrence Taylor. Like, I can't genuinely appreciate Larry Zonko or John Riggins. As much as I may love them, it's not the same as having been alive and seen them when they played. So I do have a solution. And I went and I looked at the Giants' retired numbers. Okay. And then I went and looked at the Giants' numerical roster. And I have an idea. So he decided, Abdul Carter, he says he wanted 56.
Yes.
He wanted 11. No. So he wanted this, right? So 56 and 11 were both gone. But watch, I'm going to do a magic trick right here.
Uh-oh.
Go with this. Go with 51.
I like it.
51 is available on the Giants roster right now. 51 is not retired by the New York Giants. It's half of LT. It's half of Sims. It's a classic linebacker number. Butkus, Brian Cox, et al. There
James
are so
Ferrier.
many. Exactly. James Ferrier. 51 is a classic linebacker / edge number. It's available. It's free. And by the way, you're not going to go with like 8 or something like newfangled. The Giants fans will respect that it's an old-fashioned number, and they will resonate with them, and I think you will make it your own. So I suggest, Abdul Carter, go with 51. It's sitting there. It's half 11, half 56. I think it works for you.
Kyle, I love the math, and I did the same thing. I had the roster pulled up. I'm checking 51. You're clear. You're free and clear. I also just have a beef with, how about the team stop telling everybody who gets requested and how he gets denied? Like, at this point, Abdul Carter, I'm like, can't he just keep that private? I do feel terribly for the young man who's about to make millions in his career. No, because then it gives us topics. Plus, you have the feel-good stories like the Cam Wards, which is a cool thing.
I was going to say, Cam Ward's situation.
What's a bubble letter?
The bubble. I was just giving a lot of credit. You're off camera here,
51.
Kyle, to your art. Your art on the bubble letters was
Kyle's
nice.
bubble letters.
Yeah, Kyle's bubble. I was impressed.
Great, Kyle. Well done. Calligraphy.
It makes me think too. This is a different segment, maybe. What is the most like untouchable jersey number in NFL history? Like just off the top of my head, I would say it's like Bears 34. It's Walter Payton, not only because of what he represented, he's also passed away. Like, you could say it's Patriots 12, but like Brady has a much different aura in these days than Peyton. So if we wanted to do that segment, what is the most untouchable number? Put me down for 34. But honestly, I might have Lawrence Taylor in the top 5 of untouchable just because of what he represented. He's way up there, and that's why Abdul Carter didn't get it.
Not for nothing, there are no two voices in sports that we imitate lovingly more than Adam Shine and Sean McVay. So the fact that those two are on an interview together and we use it as our tee up for the following segment as we have our whiteboards out on GMFB. And normally I get annoyed if I get told, like, oh, we don't have time to have your ranking. I'm gleefully not doing this ranking. It's hard, okay?
It is hard.
You got to rank top 3 quarterbacks right now in the NFC. And there could be like 9 or 10 guys on this list, Isaiah, but you have to do 3. And don't break Kyle Brandt this morning already. Just do 3, okay? Don't break the segment.
This is evil.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
It is evil. Go on.
All right, so let me just say this, all right? There, like Jamie just said, there are a number of very viable candidates to be in this top 3 list, and everybody's going to have something to say regardless of who gets left off. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with one person that if they play an entire season healthy, they're going to have at least 30 passing touchdowns. And I'm going to go with Dak Prescott at the number 3 spot. Dak Prescott, you can remember. Yep. Go ahead. Boy, I know. Yep, number 3. There we go.
Don't pretend like you had him at 1.
All
And
right,
then you
no,
take
I
the
did not have him
picture
at
later.
1. But when Dak is healthy, he is a nemesis. And I think the reason why I say this, the last time he had a fully healthy season, right? Obviously, he got hurt last year, tore his hamstring off the bone. 2023, if I remember correctly, he was the runner-up MVP candidate to Lamar Jackson. So you have to put some respect on his name. The only knock that people have on Dak Prescott is the fact that he hasn't won in the playoffs. Other than that, he's a beast.
And number 2.
All right, number 2. I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels.
Is that right? Did I guess that right?
Yeah, you guessed that right. You guessed it right. You're on point. Jaden Daniels right here, number 2. Listen, the only reason why he's really not at the top, right, is because he doesn't have a Super Bowl and he doesn't have enough body of work, right? But this dude, we saw what he was able to do last year, throwing around 70% completion percentage in his rookie year without a ton of help on the outside. When they give him some help, when they give him some more protection, he's going to be even more dangerous.
Okay.
Yeah. And then last but not least,
go on.
Y'all see it right here. You have to give it to the man himself, Mr. Jalen Hurts. The reason why Jalen Hurts gets number 1 is because he's the champ, right? And I know there's going to be a lot of controversy revolving around how much of a threat do you feel he is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This dude wins, okay? All he's been doing is winning at the quarterback position. He's had coordinator after coordinator, and now this dude is a Super Bowl champion. That's the one thing that these guys can't say outside of Stafford, all right? Outside of Stafford, that's the only person that can say that he's the champ.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Willie.
that was good. That was solid. But let's get right to it. I got number 3. I'm going with Jordan Love, man. This guy threw for over 4,000 yards, had 36 touchdowns. And the bottom line, this guy's a franchise quarterback, and he had to prove so. Now that he has the weapons on the outsides between Reed and Watkins and Dobbs, and he has a run game with Josh Jacobs. I love Jordan Love, and he shows up at big moments. At number 2, I'm going with Matthew Stafford. The old man can still hum. I don't know if I'm doing that right. I'm trying to block number 1 there, so I apologize. Thank you.
Great.
Matthew Stafford is a ball player, man. He's been playing at a high level for some time. The old man can still sling it. You got to understand, he was a minute away from defeating the Philadelphia Eagles and Philly in the snow. And the bottom line, he's put this franchise on his back year after year. I love the fact that they got Devontae Adams. I love the fact that they got Puka Nacua. They also have an offensive line and a defense that can complement him. I'm a big Matthew Stafford fan, and he's done a hell of a job thus far. At number 1, I'm with you. I'm going with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a ball player. They need to respect him because not only is he a ball player, but he's a Super Bowl champion. And if people want to say, well, the reason why the Eagles won that Super Bowl against the Chiefs is because of that daunted defensive line. Put on the tape. The man did what was asked of him, made throw after throw, play after play, and was marvelous. I love watching Jalen Hurts and how he's continued to evolve. Yes, he can run the ball, but he can also throw it. Go back to the game against Pittsburgh this season where there was a lot of issues with him and A.J. Brown. He responded and lit up the Pittsburgh Steelers and their secondary at home. So I love Jalen Hurts. I think he's a fantastic quarterback, and I expect big things from him in the upcoming season.
It's a really good job, Willie. I'm gonna run the anchor leg here, I guess. I'm gonna use, instead of a blank paper, I'm gonna use Jalen Brunson is gonna help me because we're gonna need all the help we can get. This is the New York Post because the Knicks are about to play this.
Let's go, baby.
Here you go. I have some different ones, guys. Number 3. I have Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield was fantastic last year. He put up massive numbers, huge stats, huge touchdown total for a team that wins. He has found his home in Tampa and is excellent. I think Baker in the NFC is top 3. I have Hurts at 2. The numbers aren't really there. Like, they're not. And you know that there was times last year where the passing game was not the thing because it was Saquon left and Saquon right. But I really was incredibly blown away by his performance in the Super Bowl. Is also when everybody doubts him. I put him there out of there. And then, listen, I have number 1. Joe Burrow led the NFL in passing last year. Do you know who was number 2? It was Jared Goff. Yeah. It was Jared Goff who runs that steam engine in Detroit. And they did not win the Super Bowl. They did not get to the Super Bowl. He was fantastic this last year, and I think he left a bad taste in everybody's mouth with the way the season ended. Look up the numbers, look up the leadership, look up the efficiency. If you're looking for a quarterback in the NFC, you want to look at the AFC. But if you can't look at the AFC, these are my top 3, and I stand behind them.
Kyle, I'm going to push back on that logic because if you're going to put Goff as your number 1 quarterback and he's the locomotive for that team and that's why they win, why wouldn't you have Hurts anywhere on your list? Like that, you don't have Jalen Hurts as a qualifier? Is he in your top 5? Oh, I'm sorry.
They get confusing. I know, Jamie. I got Hurts right there at 2.
What I meant was Jaden Daniels.
Jamie predetermined her receiver before I even went. She thought I wasn't going to have Hurts on. Jamie, I am actually hurt. Yes, I got him right there at 2.
Okay, what about Jaden Daniels? That's what I meant. It's the name that was meant to come out of my mouth, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, it's 1 year. Yeah, time served. It was an amazing year. We've seen some guys. Listen, last year, if you were going to put C.J. Stroud as your top AFC 3 quarterback, you wouldn't be doing it. It's a little bit of time served. Nobody likes Jaden Daniels more than me. I love him. But, top 3 is rare. Do it again next year. Maybe you'll be number 1 next year.
Yeah, and an honorable mention, we can't forget Brock Purdy. Like Brock Purdy, for me, we call him the machine.
0 for 9.
Yeah, we did say Purdy?
No.
Nobody said Purdy. So I'm going to say Purdy, too. So Adam has
No, you're not. Is he your 4? Who's you taking off?
He's my 4.
Oh, he's your 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not my 3. He's
not your 3.
Yeah, not your 3. And it would have been too easy if we had done top 5. All right, that's great. Top 3 NFC quarterbacks. AFC, we see you, but we got to talk about the NFC guys entering the 2025 season. Making the playoffs last season, Matt LaFleur's Packers finished 3rd in the North, and their quarterback, Jordan Love, threw 3 picks in their wild card loss to the Eagles. Rough. LaFleur enters year 7, Jordan Love entering year 3 as a starter. Does this mean that it is demanded that it is time now for LaFleur and Love to make that quote-unquote massive leap, which is not losing to the Cowboys early in the play, or they beat the Cowboys, excuse me. Losing to the Eagles early in the playoffs, Isaiah. Are they going to make that big leap together? Must they?
I hope so. I honestly just I'm not convinced yet of Jordan Love. I think that he's a good quarterback. I don't believe that he's made the leap that everybody has expected him to make. Maybe that's because of those who've come before him. Maybe that's because of Brett Favre. Maybe that's because of Aaron Rodgers. And now it's Jordan Love, and it just hasn't been enough of a jump. Now, they're always in the conversation. You have to give them that respect, or that combination of LaFleur and Love is there, but they have to get some weapons around them. They have to keep him healthy. They have to be consistent enough, and they need something else to push them over the edge. I'm not sure if it's going to be this year, but they've been heading in the right direction.
Really?
Yeah, I'm totally shocked by the answer. Jordan Love has evolved. I mean, go back to week 3 against the San Francisco 49ers where he dropped 4 touchdowns on the Niners. And by the way, he finished, this offense finished top 5 in the NFL. LaFleur has done a great job of evolving. Now, the goal is not to become stagnant. Last year, they were able to lean on the run game with Josh Jacobs and this offensive line. Now, the question for this Green Bay team is the defense, really. With this 4-3 scheme led by Jeff Hafley, can they continue to get after the quarterback and make plays in the back end? That has to be the goal. I love Quay Walker and what he's able to do. But overall, Jordan Love has arrived. The bottom line is when he gets to playoff time, can he go all the way? And LaFleur has to continue to put more in the playbook where he can expand and get to a position where he's now considered one of the elite. I love everything about Jordan Love. He has the weapons. He has the run game. He has to win games. One of the games that broke my heart last year was the loss to Detroit and the Week 16 loss against the Vikings. Those are games they needed to win, and they weren't able to do so. But overall, this team is my dark horse. Like, be honest, I believe the division is extremely votable. Why? Because Ben Johnson's gone. He's taken off, and he's over in Chicago. Yep. Aaron Glennon is New York. You talk about the Minnesota Vikings. Nobody knows what J.J. McCarthy is. You talk about the Chicago Bears. I love Caleb Williams, and they have given him a new offensive line. But overall, they still have to figure out who they are and what their identity is. There's one team that knows who they are and has continued to have success year after year, and that's the Green Bay Packers. So when you tell me Jordan Love hasn't arrived, he's arrived. He just has to go get it like the other elite quarterbacks in the league.
What do you think? What do you think, Isaiah? Has he arrived?
I just don't feel as if I'm not threatened by Jordan Love. I respect him as a player. Okay. But when Jordan Love steps on the field, I'm not concerned about what he's going to do to my team. So from that regard, I'm not saying nothing about his stats. I'm not saying that he hasn't been consistent. I just don't see him as a threat in terms of that red dot guy that you have to circle whenever you're watching film. And he has a great complimentary back in Josh Jacobs, and they're doing great things. But again, when he steps on the field, I'm not concerned about him making the play that's going to break our back.
Is that not what people sometimes say about Dak Prescott? Is that? I'm asking.
In playoffs.
Okay.
In the playoffs.
Okay. Willie, you got something to tag on that?
No, Kyle wanted to say something.
I'm reminded of our old friend Jason McCourty used to always talk about this one quarterback who I'm not going to mention by name. He's currently in the NFC. And Jason would say, that's a guy when that week you're not really worried about him. Like, he's fine. He's a good player. He gets the job done. But you're not like, we got this guy this week, like if you were facing Rodgers or Brady or whoever Jason was facing during his career. And it always stuck with me because there is a specific species of quarterback who, they got the numbers and they got the career and the experience, but they're not really scaring anyone. So what I'm hearing between the two of you is that Love is good. Like, is he a killer? Is he the guy that if you are a defensive back facing the Packers that week, you're saying, oh, damn, it's Jordan Love week? Or is he just a very nice player? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, I think that's not fair because, like I said, we all talk about that playoff game in Dallas. You got to understand, Dallas Cowboys were 8-0 at home. They had a 12-5 season, and nobody gave Green Bay a chance. It was Jordan Love and company that came in there and won that game and dog-walked the Cowboys back home, right? And then you talk about, I remember, they go back to the Thanksgiving game where they had to go in Detroit a year ago, and they had to win that game, opening drive. It was Jordan Love to Christian Watkins, bang, split open the game. Time after time, Jordan Love makes plays with his arm and his feet, and he's durable. He's dealt with some serious injuries and being able to stand up and play week after week. So when we sit here and talk about him as like, he's not scary, you know what? Dak Prescott felt the same way, and then he was eating microwave dinners at home while Jordan Love and company continue to walk on. So you don't have to be afraid, but you need to be aware that Jordan Love is him, and he deserves his respect.
Okay.
The microwave dinner game has stepped up, though, in the last 10 years. It really, that's
It's
not as much
hungry man.
So good. You also said earlier in the hour that you feel nothing about the 2025 Dallas Cowboys. You just don't know yet.
Correct.
It's not good. It's not bad. You feel nothing. rank your NFC North teams right now and how good you feel about their 2025, okay? Is that a good qualifier for you, Kyle? You got it? You feel warm fuzzies about the NFC North. Rank the teams accordingly. Isaiah, you are already done with your assignment.
I'm done.
So
Mine's
you go
done.
ahead.
Isaiah.
Go
All
ahead.
right, here we go. I'm going to go with number 4 on my list. I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears. And they just have the most to prove out of any team in this particular division. And obviously they have a lot of juice right now with Ben Johnson coming in. There's a lot of excitement. Okay, but at the end of the day, they still have to go out there and produce. So that's why they're at the number 4 spot. At the number 3 spot, I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings, okay? And the Minnesota Vikings obviously have changed quarterbacks. We know what they're capable of doing. Their defense is solid. Their offense has been productive, but they have a new QB. So we have to wait and see, right? We have to wait and see exactly what young J.J. McCarthy's going to do. And then right here, the Packers. Obviously, we just finished talking about them. Jordan Love has done good things. LaFleur, those guys are always consistent. They're always in the fight. You're always going to find them in the playoffs. They're one of those sneaky teams that doesn't do anything necessarily flashy, but they're always going to be at the top of the league. And then my very last one, obviously, is going to be the Lions, okay? There's been a lot of change in Detroit, but you still got to go knock those guys off. They have a culture, they have an identity, and they have been consistent. Now, can they do it again without their offensive, defensive coordinators being in the mix?
All right, Willie.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my best with this. I'm horrible with paper, man.
Easy.
Can you see it? I'm gonna listen. Number 4, like I stated, J.J. McCarthy. I don't know who he is. There was a lot of questions about his knee. That's still yet to be proved. I think this defense has evolved, especially with Hargraves and other additions. And I like Brian LaFleur and how he gets after it. Number 3, I'm struggling with this paper. I've never seen a grown man struggle with
and
paper
then it
in my life.
erases. It's hard.
The Bears, man, I love Ben Johnson. Hopefully he can really make Caleb Williams step up to the next level. They have all the pieces. Defensively, they have to be a lot more stout, but they are a question in the works. I got the Lions, man, like Isaiah stated. They have the pieces. They talk about Jared Goff. You talk about offensively. They're creative. They have the offensive line. Dan Campbell is going to have to step up and figure out, was the loss of Ben Johnson that significant? Can they really step up in a situation where they haven't taken a step backwards, where they can go forward? I love Jared Goff, but last 2 years, he just hasn't been able to get them over the hump and land in a Super Bowl, so that worries me. But number 1, this is the hungriest team in the division. That's the Packers. Go back, go. I love Jordan Love. I love Mike LaFleur. I love this defense. I think right now it's just a matter of time before they break open and land in the NFC Championship and win the game.
Was there a toughest one you had, the one you were really battling about putting them in 4 or 3, like if the one that bothered you the most?
Probably the Lions.
Probably the Lions.
Yeah, probably the Lions.
Not as much. All right. Well, it's May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. So when we're in the post-100 humans versus fighting a gorilla world, I'm ranking the NFC North teams according to who would win in a fight, Jamie.
Yeah.
So I have 4. I have a Packer. That's a meat Packer. He's not doing much. A Viking, although a skilled warrior with spears and all that. Like it's a very heavy here. And then I looked at a website called animalhype.com, and they say that the African lion would beat a grizzly bear. So this is my personal ranking. I even wrote the topic at the top there so as it's not misconstrued. We haven't seen these teams play a game in like 3 months. We'll see them in another 4 months. So this is the important list. And in the gorilla world, this is where I have the NFC North.
It's a beautiful homage to Mike Leach, Kyle. We appreciate what you just did. Willie, I just had to check Wikipedia to make sure you didn't go to Utah State. What's up with you and the Packers, man? Why are you such a Jordan Love guy? What is this?
Because the tape don't lie. And obviously you guys aren't watching football. And the man is just delivered. This team has continued to deliver. And so as we sit here, we kind of say, the Packers are mid. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like the last 2 years, I've seen this team take the step after step. I've seen Jordan Love play through injuries. I've seen Jordan Love pretty much get canceled out before he even stepped on the field when Aaron Rodgers was at the helm. So now I'm looking at Matt LaFleur. I'm looking at this defense that's gotten better with Jai Alexander, Quay Walker. I'm looking at this offensive line that's probably one of the biggest in the league, dominate up front with the addition of Josh Jacobs, who had over 1,000 yards. I'm looking at this offense right now, continue to average 26 points a game. 20 to 28 points a game, 26 to 28 points a game, and yet we sit here like the Packers are some average team. I don't know what else you need to see. You needed them to beat the Detroit Lions, they did. You needed them to beat the San Francisco 49ers, they did. You needed them to get it done in Minnesota. Well, they lost to Minnesota, I get that. But overall, Jordan Love and company has showed up week after week, and trust me, This is personal. Why? Because in 2010, when the Steelers versus the Green Bay Packers in Dallas, we lost to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. So I'm not a cheesehead. I just real recognize real and real recognize game. And that's where my heart is at right now. I don't know why y'all sit here and continue to look at Jordan Love as he's not that guy. When you talk about elite quarterbacks, he has elite level tape. Turn it on and watch it before you make an asinine comment as to where Jordan Love is and who the Green Bay Packers is.
Man, you put such weight on a quarterback, really, that I have to push back on you, though, because are you telling me that you're going to look at the entirety of the roster of the Green Bay Packers and the fact that the entire city of Green Bay just lost their minds, their faces melted when Mark Murphy walked out on the stage and drafted a wide receiver for the first time in 25 years? When you look across the border at the Minnesota Vikings and the roster that team has between Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and the Brian Flores defense and the moves that they made, and you're going to put the Vikings last in that division? And are you telling me it's all because that they have a quarterback that you don't know anything about, despite the fact that he's a sixth man on a bench who just got to watch an entire NFL season, and he practically has his PhD now watching Sam Darnold unfold and Kevin O'Connell work his brilliance at the quarterback spot? How do you put the Vikings last?
I put the Vikings last because J.J. McCarthy has a big question mark over his head, and so does that knee. I understand what he was in Michigan, but there was a legit conversation on bringing Aaron Rodgers in the building because they didn't feel like if he was going to be ready for the season. This OTAs in the spring for J.J. McCarthy is everything because bottom line is Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed anybody. He hasn't. He's still out there. Now, he's saying there's all arrows pointing that he may land in Pittsburgh, but there's a chance that he may land in Minnesota. That's still a legit option, and that's solely because they don't know who J.J. McCarthy is, and they have this offensive line. They have this Brian Flores defense. They have pieces, and you talk about Justin Jefferson. I get that. And listen, the reason Green Bay drafted a receiver is because Christian Watson's coming off of ACL. They don't want to lose that firepower, so I get that move. But overall, the Vikings are going to be the Minnesota Vikings until we figure out who J.J. McCarthy is. I know who Jordan Love is. I watched him the last 2 seasons. I watched him going to Dallas once again and drop bombs all over Dak Prescott on a 12-5 team a year ago. Now, I get right now they regressed a little bit, but overall, when you talk about who's the face of this franchise, that's Jordan Love. And so I have no questions about who the Green Bay Packers are. I have a lot of questions on who the Minnesota Vikings are solely because they don't have a quarterback and we don't know anything about J.J. McCarthy.
That was very therapeutic.
Hey, my name is Willie Beeman. I love the fact that you're standing 10 toes down for J. Love and the Green Bay Packers.
Barefoot toes.
The question that I have, literally 10 toes down, team no socks. I have a question for you that probably requires a whole segment, but I just need to know your quick answer, Willie. Just your instinctual question. Answer. Is Jordan Love a top 10 quarterback in the NFL?
Yes, I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to say yes.
Get
top
the
10?
list.
Yeah.
Top 10. Top 10.
This is the day of list?
Don't do it. No, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not going to. Willie's doing so much heavy lifting this segment, I can't give him any more. Give this guy a glass of water.
Well,
I hope he learns how to be like an all-pro. I mean, that's kind of what you hope. I mean, you hope for the best. And plan for the best, too, I guess. I mean, I expect him to do really well. You know, he's our first-round pick. A lot to whom much is given, much is required. And nobody understands it better than him as a young guy. Really impressed with his maturity. He broke the huddle today. That's not an easy thing to do your first time. So far, so good.
Okay, so you watch that video of Starks being drafted, and momentarily after he's standing there with the commissioner, I come out of the tunnel and I get to interview Malachi right after he gets drafted by the Ravens. So I didn't say a lot to the picks after the interview was done, but I did say to Malachi, because he was on the show the day before, and I said, I can't wait to see you play with Kyle Hamilton. It just came out of my mouth. It was like, I was such a thrill for the Ravens and this improvement that they're going to have, specifically because Kyle Hamilton had to switch positions last year. It was crazy what the Ravens had to do on defense. It was another disappointing year, though, for how Baltimore finished. It was a heartbreaking loss to the Bills. Can the Ravens put this all behind them with the addition of Malachi Starks, Isaiah? Can he really make a difference for a defense that allowed the second most pass yards last year?
I think so. I think you talked about the versatility of a Hamilton, right, and how he was utilized not only at the safety position, but he went out there and started playing some slot for them as well, some nickel. Now you have two guys who have that versatility. You have two guys that can be headhunters in the back. I mean, we've seen this before. We've seen this in Baltimore where they've had two-headed monster at the safety position and the freedom that gives you. These guys are both rangy. These guys can both come down and cover your receivers. There's not going to be a tight end that can run by either one of them. And if you come across the middle, they're going to hit you in the mouth and make you pay for it. That's exactly what you want. You want receivers with their heads on the swivel, not paying attention to timing, and these guys being able to go out there, be ball hawks and coverage defenders.
Yeah, I have some experiences considering I played a good portion of my career against the Baltimore Ravens. The one thing they do really well is get after the quarterback. What allowed them to get after the quarterback is their efficiency in the back end. Now, hopefully these two can be a tandem for the future. But overall, Baltimore has to get back to playing bully ball, right? And that's owning the trenches, getting after the quarterback, and establishing a type of identity that puts fear in their opponents. Now, I've watched this team playing big games, and for some reason, in the second half of games, they lose their identity on both sides of the ball. And so when you talk about the Baltimore Ravens, I'm not worried about this back end as much as I'm worried about these edge pressures and how they got to get after the quarterback. And how Lamar Jackson, year after year, we expect one thing, and then when it's time to put the foot on your pedal and go get it, we can't find them on tape. So it's more of an identity issue with me on both sides of the ball. But yeah, it's a great pick for this defense. But overall, they got to get back to playing bully ball.
Yeah, look, it's another good Ravens defensive player. They've had many. They will continue to have more. The Ravens are just this team where I look at them going into 2025 and I'd say, just get me to the playoffs. Fast forward the season. I know you're going to be good. I know you're going to win a bunch of games. You're going to have a bunch of highlights. Just fast forward to the playoffs. They feel to me like the Cowboys used to feel, where it's they're going to get there. They're going to win double-digit games. It's just about that one or maybe two games in January where does Lamar play his best game? Willie was just talking about it. I don't think Lamar chokes in the playoffs. I don't think he falls on his face. I think he doesn't show up with his A game. I think he plays fine. He doesn't blow people away like he does in the regular season. He doesn't play his best in the playoff games. And if that's a reason to draw swords for Ravens fans, then you're not watching as closely as you should be. He didn't play his best game. And by the way, neither did the defense against Buffalo. They show up, they sacked Josh Allen one time, they had no takeaways. It's like, it just goes away. So Malachi Starks, great-looking player. He feels like a Raven. I've seen him before. We'll see him again. They're the fast-forward team to me, and I mean that with due respect. They're such an institution and so solid that even in that division, I know they're going to be there in the end. But you just have to tell me the story ends differently this time, and it'll be way more interesting.
I just woke up the other day and said, I got to get Justin Herbert to the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
Must get Justin Herbert to the Hall of Fame.
You woke up and said that?
Yeah. It's just one of those things where you wake up and kind of like 3:34 in the morning.
Right.
And sometimes that's when your best ideas come.
Yeah, I know.
And
I'm with you.
Yeah, you kind of process that, and that would mean winning a couple Super Bowls, and there'd be a lot of people would benefit, from that. So that's a worthy goal.
That isn't a worthy goal, Coach. And every player wants to hear their coach say that about them. They want to wear the gold jacket. It all fits, especially if you're a quarterback. Isaiah, it's a heavy lift, though, considering how his time in L.A. has started. Justin Herbert, what do you make of this sound from his head coach having this aha moment at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Well, that's not where I get my best thoughts. I can tell you that. I'm not sleeping.
Why? You're on the air at 5 a.m. here?
No, I'm usually sitting down for long periods of time. My wife tries to get me out of the room. But on the Herbert situation, that's very lofty goals for a coach. And I think that he's putting a lot on the shoulders of Justin Herbert. But I do think that they are assisting him, right? They've spent a lot of time making sure that the offensive line is solid. Any great quarterback needs a solid offensive line so that they can sit back there comfortably. And the next thing that you need as a great quarterback is you need a solid run game. They went out there, and not only do they have Najee Harris that they added, but they also went out and drafted Amarion Hampton. So anytime you can turn around and hand the ball off and get some yardage, anytime you can sit back there comfortably and deliver the ball, you're going to greatly increase your chances of being a great quarterback and eventually, hopefully, becoming a Hall of Fame quarterback. But there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I think you put it out there. It's lofty. You got to think about the division, right? Denver's a better outfit right now. Kansas City is the Super Bowl champs. Well, former. Now it's the Eagles. But overall, when you talk about the the LA Chargers and Justin Herbert, I mean, the bottom line is, can he stay healthy? That's the biggest concern for me. Can you keep him on the field? He's a competent, he's a reliable quarterback, but can you keep him healthy? And how does this offense continue to evolve with Hallberg? Because for me, it's run first, then everything. So it's a matter of making him a game manager. Is he willing to do that? As far as Hall of Fame, man, That comes with the resume. You got to win. You got to win big. You got to win in crucial situations and put up big numbers. So can he do that? But right now, he has to be able to just win the division first. Then we can talk about Hall of Fame.
I really admire the take from Harbaugh. It's as usual for him. It's original. It's a little out there, but it actually comes back to really solid football. And Justin Herbert has the talent. He has the coach. And Harbaugh's saying, look, here's the deal. We're a handful of years in with Herbert. We're going to get him to the Hall of Fame. It's very simple. You have to win a Super Bowl. That's it. Just study the history of Hall of Fame quarterbacks. All of the ones in the modern era, save a couple exceptions, the Mannings, Eli, who will get in, and Brady and Breeze and Rodgers, there's really one exception, and it's Warren Moon, but his case is very unique because he was winning championships in Canada before he was even playing in the NFL. You have to win the Super Bowl. Justin Herbert, whenever he retires, is going to have big numbers and big highlights. Is he going to win in the playoffs? And again, winning in the playoffs is not enough. And look at your own organization. Look at Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers has massive stats. He has won playoff games. I do not think he will be in the Hall of Fame because he's never appeared in the Super Bowl. With quarterbacks, it is not wide receiver, tight end, or pass rusher. Show me your ring if you want to get into Canton. So Harbaugh even said it in the clip himself. He said a couple Super Bowls. Yeah. One will do it. That's where we're at. You have to win a Super Bowl. And listen, where are we at with Justin Herbert? So Jamie mentioned he has this amazing, prolific year in which he doesn't throw interceptions. We show up in the playoffs, we throw 4 interceptions in one game. That's where we're at with Herbert right now. His reputation that he has earned, talented, good, statistically, everything, but we have not seen it in January, let alone February. So what Harbaugh is saying is, I want him to go to the promised land, to football heaven, and we got a ton of work to do, and he's right.
Yeah, but Harbaugh's reputation, I want to look at that as well, because Harbaugh won a national championship at Michigan running the football first. He's got J.J. McCarthy, but that thing was run on the ground all the way to a title. He comes to L.A., and now he's got this incredible quarterback, and he can compliment him all he wants and how gifted he is and how he's such a great fit. Is it the perfect fit, though, for a Harbaugh-led team who wants to run the ball, and the fact that they drafted Omarion Hampton? Isaiah, I'll ask you that. Is Herbert, Hall of Fame aside in his future, is he the best fit for a Harbaugh offense?
I think so, because I think Willie already hit it. He's talking about him being a game manager, and that's been looked at with a negative connotation for a long time in this league. But there are a lot of quarterbacks who have had a lot of success being, quote-unquote, game managers. The reality is, if you have a solid O-line, and I stand on this all the time, if you have some big boys up front that can hold the fort and allow you to have an efficient passing game, it doesn't even have to be dynamic, but you can have a dynamic running game, and you have a two-headed monster. We've seen what Detroit has done, right? We saw how an efficient running game has increased the throwing capability of a Jared Goff. They're doing the same thing out here in L.A. They're going to turn around, hand the ball off to Najee Harris. He's going to come downhill. He's going to hit you in the face. Omarion Hampton, same thing. Come downhill, hit you in the face. They want to beat you up physically. And then when they have done that and you have walked all the way down to the line of scrimmage to try to put 7 or 8 guys in the box, then they'll start sitting back there and let Herbert use his strong arm and throw himself into a victory. All right, being a former dual-threat quarterback and now talking about Jalen Milroe being a dual-threat quarterback, it has me thinking, who are my favorite dual-threat QBs of all time? So let's go ahead and get into this thing.
Go.
We got a top 5, right? Number 5 is going to be the man that I used to watch all the time, holding it down in Philadelphia, and that is going to be Donovan McNabb. Let's take a look.
Nice.
Awesome.
You guys see the man right there. He is a mountain of a man. He sit back there. You didn't think that somebody of his stature can be able to move like he did. He was, for me, the first big quarterback that usually just shook off defensive linemen, shook off linebackers. He would cross the line of scrimmage, and guys would second guess whether or not they wanted to come up and meet him, when most other quarterbacks they would take head on. He had a cannon of an arm, and he was a complete threat whenever he had the ball in his hands. Love me some Donovan McNabb. Now, for my number 4, I want to go ahead and take a look at this dude. His dude has one of the most famous plays that took place on a Monday night in Philly versus the Giants. Let's take a look.
Look at that agility. That's something special right there. Jimmy Giles, the receiver. Cunningham, by all rights, hit by Carl Banks. Should have been down. Maintained his balance. We talked about his athleticism, and he fires in the corner. Beautifully executed rollout.
Ladies and gentlemen, Randall Cunningham is a ready for primetime player.
this guy was ahead of his time. He was the man that stood at 6'4", 220 pounds, was athletic out of this world, okay? Shaking off guys, had eyes in the back of his helmet. That might have been where it came from. First person that was hurtling over people, you guys see it right there. He was the pinnacle of athleticism at that position when it wasn't highly accepted. He made it possible for guys like me and others to make that position acceptable, to have those abilities, and he utilized them to make Philadelphia one of the most successful franchises to date. All right, number 3. Okay, we got to go with the big fella who just happened to call himself Superman. All right, and that is going to be Mr. Cam Newton. Yes, you guys see it right there. Cam Newton is not of this world. He wasn't born. He was created in a lab. This dude is huge. He was fast. This dude had a cannon of his arm, and he was one of the first quarterbacks that we saw with those abilities who had swag, right? He still has swag to this day when you guys see him on TV. He was a nuisance for guys, and you had to make business decisions with him as a defensive coordinator. That's why Cam Newton makes my top 3 at the QB position for dual threat. Now, this is when it starts getting dicey. Who do you put at number 2? Who do you put at number 1? Let's go ahead and start with the man that has one of the nastiest spin moves you've ever seen. Let's take a look at Lamar Jackson.
It's a 2nd down and 3. Jackson takes it himself. Look at him dart back and forth. Oh, he broke his ankles. Now he's got an entourage, and he's got a touchdown. He is Houdini. What a play. 47-yard touchdown run by the magical quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
What a great run.
Wow.
Lamar Jackson is one of the most feared offensive threats in this league. His dude runs a 4.3. At any given point in time, he is the fastest man on the field, and he just happens to be the guy who touches the ball every single play. So when you run a 4.3, when you are as elusive as he is, when you have a strong arm, when you have the ability to throw on the run, you are going to be at the top of the list in terms of dual threat quarterbacks because you are that dude. 2-time MVP. I believe he should have been a 3-time MVP, but he'll go out there and have another opportunity to do so because he is just getting started in his career. That's why he's number 2 for me for dual threat quarterbacks. Now, you guys know there's no way in this world that I'm going to leave the only quarterback who had his own shoe, and he held it down not only in AT-Alien, but he held it down in Philadelphia, Mr. Michael Vick. Let's take a look.
Vick on 2nd and 8, off the play fake, has some running room, inside the 30, inside the 20, Vick into the end zone, Falcons win in overtime, a 46-yard touchdown run, his 2nd touchdown run of the game, scored from 28 earlier, and he finishes with 173 yards rushing.
Amazing run, and fitting that the Falcons should end the game this way. The almost inhuman speed, and the Falcons keep their hot streak alive, their 8th game without a defeat.
You know you are that dude when years upon years after you retire, people still are buying your jerseys for the Atlanta Falcons. That is Mike Vick. He is what I call McNasty. His balance, his speed, his arm talent. This dude was an absolute problem for anybody that tried to face him. He single-handedly would make you change your defense. Matter of fact, I believe he's probably the first quarterback that defensive coordinators had to have a spy for, and they took one of their most athletic players and tried to shut him down. But guess what? 9 out of 10 times, it didn't work, okay? So Mike Vick, number 1 on my list for dual threat quarterback. He is the guy who made me want to play the quarterback position. That is my top 5. What do you guys think about it?
Kyle, you go.
I think I love it. This is the best segment ever. I wish it was your top 50 and we could just keep going. Vic, unbelievable. I will say I have a soft spot for Randall Cunningham, and that play that you showed where he goes hand plant and then throws it in the back of the end zone and Carl Banks dives at his knee is just so amazing. Incidentally, Abdul Carter saw that play and wants Carl Banks number 58. He wants to wear that now for him, but he can't do it. I'm sorry. But what an incredible list, Isaiah. I love it. What do you think, Willie?
Yeah, I love the list, man. Especially glad you shouted out Donovan McNabb. We forget there's so many mobile quarterbacks in the game continues to evolve, and these quarterbacks continue to get bigger and faster and stronger. And we forget D. McNabb was one of the husky quarterbacks that could move.
Oh, yeah.
He rocked the belly and he had the massive quads, but he could get to the second level and hit you with a shimmy and a shake. So shout out to D. McNabb, man. I was happy that you picked him.
I like that your number 3, Cam Newton, was not born. He was created to play that position. It was a perfect definition of him. I got the list here. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Who'd you leave off? Who was your number 6? Who was your hanging Chad, if you will?
There were some guys who they were definitely honorable mention. All right, for me, Steve McNair was honorable mention. For me, Cordell Stewart was honorable mention, and then Vince Young. Vince Young had short career, obviously in the league, but he's definitely was one of the most feared dual threat quarterbacks of all time.
All right, so Lamar, the only current player. Kyle, Willie, anyone currently that you feel like could maybe not break a top 5 all time, but who's a good dual threat guy that you like right now?
I mean, I don't know how we can't shout out Josh Allen.
Come on, dude.
I mean, what he's been able to do with his arm and his feet. I mean, this guy ices games with his legs, bottom line. And not only is he a big quarterback, he's also a quarterback that lets you know he's a big quarterback. I love his moxie and his confidence. And he's an MVP, so you got to give him love in that regard.
Personally, I've always got a lot of entertainment out of Daniel Jones as a runner, but that's a different kind of runner. And hopefully he rights the ship in Indianapolis this year. We're rooting for you, DJ.
All right, Isaiah, anybody else?
Yeah, in terms of guys right now, I'm with you on board in terms of Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a guy that I think that teams fear. When I talk about dual threat quarterbacks, that's somebody that you have to highlight. But the other guy that's playing today that doesn't get a lot of notoriety because he's hiding out down in Arizona is Kyler Murray. And you can't forget about the little guy. He's probably next to Lamar Jackson. He's probably the most feared guy at that position with the ability to cross the line of scrimmage because he could just make you go, uh-oh.